to actually possibly even upset Cosmos right here. But it is time for our draft, so let's move on over there. So on the side of Anti-Oak League, their most highly prioritized heroes are Ana, Raynor, and Phoenix. I think there might be one other that they also have a little bit of focus on that's not coming. Oh yeah, Gul'dan. Gul'dan is also tied with as many picks as their ETC. I messed that up. I meant to say Ana, Raynor, and ETC. And then they also have just as many picks on Gul'dan as well. So those seem like the priority picks for Anti-Oak League. But we're going to come out with a Rexxar ban first, and as it does turn out, although that the Rexxar doesn't have as many picks for Anti-Oak League as the aforementioned picks, they still have four games played on it, and it's basically right behind all the other picks that I mentioned, so it is a priority solo laner for their solo lane player, and it will be taken off the board. Meanwhile, for Cosmos, their highest priority picks are Greymane, ETC, so there is an overlap in the ETC priority. Tassadar will be banned out, as well as Dahaka. Now, we do see the Tassadar banned out rather than any of the other most played heroes that I had said for Cosmos. However, Cosmos does also definitely have quite a focus on mage heroes in general. They have currently 4 picks on Li Ming, Tassadar, and Kalthas apiece. So all of those mages. And it will be the Tassadar that's taken off the board. Obviously, just the most recently reworked one, and one who I'm starting to more and more buy into how good the new Tassadar is. I've heard that over in Europe, he is pretty high priority, and I'm starting to see more performance out of Tassadars that are convincing me. So, okay, Anti-Oak League will actually take the ETC off the board, despite that actually being the most highly prioritized hero for both tank players on each respective sides. But I guess they're thinking in terms of they know they're not going to get first pick, and if they do leave it up to first pick, it probably will be Cosmos taking it away from them, since it is very clearly the preferred tank for both teams. So no matter what, both teams are going to be forced onto what would basically be a secondary tank pick, not one that their tank player prioritizes. Meanwhile, we did have Vala banned out, one of the racing heroes on this map. The Li Ming will be picked up by Silver Jackal, however, something that is both a commonly played hero on the side of Cosmos, as well as very good on this map for the long-range poke damage that you can get on the Immortal, as well as just being a comfort pick across, like, pretty much just all skill levels of NGS. All right, 1-2 slot. It's going to be the Johanna for Gola and the Artanis for Simon. The Artanis, I don't know, in my opinion, a pretty contentious pick. I'll fix the stream title momentarily. In my mind, personally, the Artanis is a pretty contentious pick. Obviously, it's often picked for the racing potential with the amateur opponent talent. But it's not something that I personally believe in. I feel like you give up a lot of team fighting ability by getting Artanis instead of virtually any other bruiser in the game. So we'll just see how that goes. Alright then, stream title is finally fixed as I'm going back and forth between screens from Heroes Profile, the stream, OBS, and such. But we're ready to keep going in this draft. It will be Anduin taken off the board. Anduin is a hero that only has 2 picks for Cosmos, so I don't even think it is their most highly prioritized healer. But at least as I check their healers, it feels like they kind of got a rainbow where I'm trying to find any one healer for Cosmos that has multiple picks, and amazingly, their most played healer is Uther, but at the moment I can't check whether that is like a Uther main tank or an Uther main heal. But either way, ooh, okay. The Ana is very, very much a targeted ban against Anti-Oak League. It is something that it is their most commonly played support. In one of the series, I think the series that they played against Can't Counterpick Stupid, one of them even said something to the effect of like, you have to ban Ana against us. So Guy Lion or Gay Lion, whatever it really is. I'm tempted, of course, to do things, but Guy Lion will pick up the Stukov Transformer on the Raynor. Yeah, I've definitely seen the Raynor out of Transformer in the past. They do have, they have 6 picks on it. It's one of their most commonly played heroes. Yeah, the Rexar is something that it doesn't really seem like a map ban, but I believe it is just the most the most played solo laner out of Annie Oak League. So the Morales picked up of all heroes as well as the Yrel. The Morales, kind of a crazy one. Morales is a healer who is very, very vulnerable, really lacks in terms of self-peeling abilities, and I don't even feel that the healers picked up by Cosmos really are even great at peeling and protecting for Morales. At the same time, though, there's not exactly a lot of strong dive on the side of Annie Oak League, so their ability to put pressure on the Morales outside of like a really big money swap is not huge. So yeah, I mean, the Morales in most cases I would look at as a pretty big weakness for really any team that chooses to draft it, especially if you're up against some kind of dive, but for the most part, the dive isn't too strong on the side of Annie Oak League. Johanna generally being one of the less mobile tanks. Artanis, again, unless he gets a big money swap, and I guess in Johanna's case, unless we see something like unless we actually see a falling sword Johanna. Now, I do feel with the draft that Cosmos has, they don't have a lot of protection for the Morales, but they definitely have a blow-up comp. And I think if they execute their blow-up comp proactively, I don't think it'll matter that their protection for the Morales isn't great. But it is time to get into our game and see how it actually plays out in the end. So, on the side of Annie Oak League, in my opinion, our underdogs in this series, and I don't think that's an unreasonable conclusion, it will be Gola on the Johanna, Guy Lion on the Stukov Transformer on the Raynor, Vince Noir on the Kel'Thas, and Simon playing as Artanis. Meanwhile, Cosmos looking strong so far in this season. Ciaris on the Varian. Oddity will be playing as the Morales. Silver Jackal will be playing as Li Ming. E-Day on the Greymane. And finally, it will be Nay on the Yrel. Doing my best on these name pronunciations. Not really 100% sure on either of them, so we're starting mid-fight. Not a whole lot going on. We do actually have some stacking quests. Mainly, we've got the grenade stacking quest for the Morales. Possibly looking forward to get those, to spam out those grenades later on with the second opinion. I honestly really don't know. I don't know what the ideal Morales build is at this point, because honestly I don't see her that often, especially more so at higher levels of play. But let's see what they can do. A lot of pressure being put on Transformer at this time, but even more being put on Ciaris, as he does get that Morales healing, but Morales is being drained of her energy. I think one of the things that can also be a little bit tricky. Ooh, look at this potential 5v4 coming out from Nay, but it's a little slow on that approach, trying to make a play for the Stukov, but I think he's got too much health and he's too close to his towers for it to really be a significant gank attempt. And, you know, I wonder in the end how much that really was worth. We definitely have an experience advantage in favor of Annie Oak League at the moment. Simon going to try to solo the siege camp at this time using that amateur opponent talent. I needed to check to make sure that he did indeed go amateur opponent. All right. Nay does come try to respond to it, but Transformer is here as well. I would think with this, okay, yeah, they can either choose to really push this hard, or they can also just make sure that they get the siege camp themselves, since they know that two members of Annie Oak League were committing to getting the siege camp on top, so they more or less get this for free, barring any major misplays, and they somehow lose a 4v3. Ciaris is getting really low, though. It's actually quite possible that they do force out a kill there. E-Day is also really low. Now Transformer is here to provide some support, and that ends up being a team fight win. Wow. So the misplays did kind of come in. Maybe it wasn't the misplays. I don't know. But either way, Annie Oak League somehow does manage to take that. They basically did win a 3v4. Now, although Annie Oak League doesn't really have like a lot of dive to put pressure on directly on the Morales, I think one of the things that does kind of work out in their favor is if Vince Noir can really get a lot of value on the Kel'Thas, can get a lot of the spread damage either from flame strikes or bomb spreads on the living bomb. I think that can put a lot of stress on the Morales, since she is primarily, well, not primarily, she is literally exclusively a single target healer. And this is a pretty strong position for Annie Oak League at this time. They have almost a full level lead. I think their comp is designed in a way that I think they actually do win the race. So I think they'll definitely win this halftime, and I think it's quite possible that they just straight up take this first Immortal. Obviously, they already got it down to halftime. Members of Cosmos did barely any damage to their own Immortal, so they will be looking to invade on this one. At this time, though, members of Annie Oak League need to be very, very careful. This is a 5v4 against them. It's mostly just a question of can they disengage here without losing any of their members. Okay, Simon will make it in. He will join them. He will get a swap. The swap is on Ciaris, though. Not quite the most desirable target, and the first kill does go on to Transformer. Can we trade out a kill? Okay, it will be a kill onto Varian. And finally, another kill onto Guy Lion. Vince Noir trying to be killed, and he does get taken out by Silver Jackal. So overall, the kills come in favor of Annie Oak League. I think it would have been nice if they had just kind of made sure that they disengaged. I think Gola needs to be super careful here, and Simon even more so, trying to go in on this. It is Ide who's trying to do damage to that Immortal. I think they just need to come back out here as 5, and between Raynor and Artanis, although Artanis is also really, really low. Oh, Gola using Iron Skin already puts him in a lot of trouble, and he could potentially actually be killed here, so he needs to kind of cycle out and not go in too aggressive after using the Iron Skin. Okay, Taunt goes on to Raynor. A lot of damage goes on to Raynor as well. He does manage to pop the Adrenaline Rush, and now it's actually a kill going on to Raynor. So unfortunately for Annie Oak League, kills actually coming in for Cosmos, even though it is kind of a 4v5, maybe technically more a 4.5v5. And honestly, I'm actually really surprised to see Cosmos eventually get that first Immortal in their favor. I think maybe a little bit more discipline on the side of Annie Oak League could have delivered that Rhaegar... Sorry, I'm reading the chat and getting myself confused. Could have delivered that Immortal in their favor. Oh no, Gola, gotta be super careful here. Yeah, really can't mess around like that with that few hit points against a Varian. Like, as much as you might think, oh, but I've got Iron Skin, but if Varian silences you with that taunt, you might not be able to activate it in time to just get out of here. So definitely some unnecessary deaths for Annie Oak League. And we have this Immortal push going on for Cosmos, and now it is Cosmos that has about 3/4 of a level lead when we actually had, you know, more of an advantage in favor, initially, in favor of Annie Oak League. Okay, Varian is silenced. That's a really rough position for him. He accidentally spreads the Living Bomb over to Sodity, or is it? No, it's Oddity. Oddity, not Sodity. Oh, man. All of these Li Ming shots through the walls are hurting so much. Transformer goes down yet again. Silver Jackal trying to find Vince Noir, but not able to find it this time. So this is at the point where I think things can start to snowball really hard in favor of one team at this point in time on this map, where it's going to be a level 10 advantage. Annie Oak League is now behind in levels. They will likely find themselves in a position where the Immortal phase will start, and they don't have 10 yet. They've got... I mean, it's basically at this point, it's mostly just a race to get to 10 for Annie Oak League. That's really what they need to really stabilize. Otherwise, oh, the timing is really, really not in their favor. This is such bad timing. So Gola's going to position that push. He's scouted out by Ciaris. That might even be a kill onto Gola. Okay, it's not a kill onto Gola. A nice 3-man gravity lapse, actually bringing about the kills. And let's see if they can get Ide as well. He has so little hit points left, but he is saved with that Eyes in the Dark, as well as the healing coming out from Oddity. That was actually, yeah, those were some nice plays. Mainly that 3-man gravity lapse. It's still not exactly great for Annie Oak League. They still haven't even cleared out this siege camp. They still don't have 10, and it's so early in the game that the respawn for Silver Jackal actually comes out very, very soon. However, they will manage to take advantage of this time to get a lead on the Immortal, but here is the flank by Ney. The kill possibly coming out onto Gola. All right, Gola does have to use Iron Skin. Again, needs to be very, very careful. They finally have level 10. They get it in. And at this time, They still have the lead on the Immortal. And they're actually going for the defense rather than trying to attack the other Immortal, which honestly is a little bit surprising in my opinion. Okay, there is the taunt onto Gola. Gola is able to activate Iron Skin. Living bombs potentially being spread, and Phoenix will go out. Ney is going to look for a jump in. Tries to leap in with Avenging Wrath, but does get pushed back by the massive shove. Meanwhile, Transformer is rather low. Does get a tap. And there is yet another taunt onto Gola. Okay, now the Immortal damage is pretty much evened out on both sides, so this basically is going to mean whichever team wants to win this is probably going to have to look for some kind of a team fight win, at least to win it decisively. Otherwise, they're kind of be poking back and forth. The poking advantage, though, is ultimately definitely in favor of Cosmos with that Li Ming. So I think the onus is more on Annie Oakley to make something happen. Ciaris is in there pretty deep, pretty low. He does get the taunt onto Guy Lion, but the kill will first come out onto the Artanis. Can they trade it out for a kill on Ciaris? Doesn't look like it's going to happen. And now with the resets coming in, I don't think Guy Lion does make it out here alive. And indeed, he doesn't. So, as we see, the interesting thing about the Varian so far is primarily being used on Johanna. And this is something that I've kind of noticed about Varian. Something that even as I've watched some older pro play videos when Varian actually came up, with a Varian, I think you actually do need to be content to target the tank, which is why we also see a comp that actually has enough damage that theoretically could put a lot of threat on a tank. This is actually so risky for Gola. Okay, taunt is not used, but Iron Skin is. Simon will be in bottom trying to soak to 13 for his team. And I think the members of Annie Oakley in top, they will... Oh, here's Ney with the flank. I think that will be another kill on Transformer. Okay, Transformer this time does get out alive. I think the follow-up from Li Ming as well as Greymane was just a little bit slow to the point where Transformer had enough time to use Adrenaline Rush, but man, Gola is not going to be so lucky. So that's another kill for Cosmos. 10-5 in their favor. It is now 13-12, and the Immortal is still being cleared out. Meanwhile, Simon playing a little bit of a risky game. At some point, though, he will be rotating out of there in time, and he's going to be hearthing in that position. I don't think he will be caught. Ney is kind of onto it, but just barely. Ooh, so lucky for Simon. Otherwise, that honestly would have been pretty much a guaranteed kill on that Artanis. So Silver Jackal is here with the rest of his team. They will pick up the siege camp as a team. Meanwhile, it does look like Simon probably going to pick up some more, probably just some more soak. I don't think it would be a great idea for him to go for the siege camp. Mostly because I thought it possible, yeah, we will see a rotation out from Cosmos. They are looking for the Artanis, and oh no, Simon is now in a pretty bad position. A swap, though, could potentially get him out of here. There is the taunt. Will the damage be enough? And yes, it indeed will be. Just some more risk of that Artanis. And I mean, I guess there are a lot of other bruisers who could still be susceptible in that case, especially something like a Malthael. But I definitely think there are a few other options that would be would have better survivability. Something like a Blaze that can dash out. Really anything that does have some kind of movement ability that could have jumped away from that. As well as anything with any kind of self-cleansing ability to protect from the taunt. So 13-15. It's not looking good for Annie Oak League at this time. Another siege camp will be picked up by the members of Cosmos. Meanwhile, Greymane going to be picking up the siege camp. Sorry, the bruiser camp. Oh, but he is by himself, and this is a pretty nice invade. Overall, I really, really like the invade, but the Hyperion on this was honestly a big misplay. The Hyperion was very, very unnecessary. Gola somehow gets cut off from his team. Okay, they realize it. They're going to help him. Luckily, that wasn't punished too badly. In fact, it basically wasn't punished. It was only Ney who was there to try to punish Guy Lion from getting cut off from his team. So Annie Oak League will once again get the lead in Immortal damage. Although this time, it's quite a bit closer than before. Tough position, though. They have a siege camp pushing. They're going to go to try to de-push it, which probably means that they will start to fall behind in the Immortal race. Okay, no, just kidding. They won't go to de-push it. Simon will come back here. There's a decent chance they might be giving up much of the keep, if not all of the keep. Gola's in a lot of trouble. Does he have Iron Skin? But the kills might be traded out against them. Gola still does not have Iron Skin. Unfortunately, it feels like whenever Gola really needs the Iron Skin, he just doesn't have it. Yeah, pile of fish. I'm going to say none of that. Like, I don't mind, like, if you have any, like, criticism of the actual plays they're making. I'm going to do some of that myself. But the uninstall hot stuff, keep that out of my chat. All right, so we are going to see the Immortal burn down pretty quickly. So it was picked up by any Oak League, but doesn't get really much of any value. I think it mostly just got the front wall. So at this time, obviously, Annie Oakley going to be looking for 16. They will take advantage of this time to pick up the siege camp, and they'll get it, but it looks like they will also be rotated on. Gola is anchoring, but honestly, he's anchoring in the wrong position. Guy Lion doesn't stand a chance, and he will be taken out. Annie Oakley actually looking to see if they can trade out some kills. Ciaris is really low, and those living bomb spreads are coming in, but so does the kill on Kael'thas as well. They're continuing to chase. They're trying to see if they can find Ide, but it's Simon on Artanis who does go down first, and this is going to be more and more kills coming out in favor of Cosmos. Oh! Oh, no. Ouch. Oh, no. All right, so this will be a fort taken in favor of Cosmos. The initial start of this game didn't look too bad, but at this time, it definitely is Cosmos really running away with this game.
Prepare yourselves. I will reach your position shortly.
All right. Well, things are certainly not looking easy for any Oak League. They are going to have to deal with this top lane pressure, which is going to really be a huge thorn in their sides because they've got the siege camp pushing against them. It's two structures in the lane against none, so that means there should be a lot of catapult pressure in that lane as well. If any Oak League is not able to find like a decisive team fight, or at least just make things, or at least just not make things quick, just not make things happen quickly here on this Immortal. The silence almost results in the kill onto Ney. All right, Gola is caught, does already use Iron Skin, and this is going to be a silence on Varian along with the root. Could be the kill on him, but he is able to get out and activate the Protected. The first kill will be onto Kael'thas, then onto Guyland. Varian is taken down, but ultimately the kills are just being snowballed far in favor of Li Ming as well as Cosmos, along with those resets. And at this point, they will just move in and they will just kill the core. They will just kill the core and take game number 1 in this series. All right, so that's honestly a pretty dominant and convincing game 1 out of Cosmos. But we are ready to go into our next draft in this game, in this series. Yeah, as we talk, yeah, so as I'm also looking at the chat and talking about things, which also makes me wonder if I have a 30-second delay. So even as I'm seeing things in the chat yet, any Oak League not having a cleanse, I think that's definitely one of the big issues with taking a Stukov, that he is a cleanseless healer. Obviously, there are a lot of other reasons why Stukov can be very high priority, very high overall healing throughput. The silence in good combos can be extremely powerful. But against a Varian, not having a cleanse it's very risky, because if whoever gets taunted cannot be cleansed, then either you got to throw on a lot of other healing resources on them, and Stukov doesn't really have burst healing resources either. Or you need to find some ways to just put pressure on the rest of the team. Something like a Gust could work. But meanwhile, it's going to be Tassadar ban and just, what is that Space Goat's name? It's going to be Urel, banned out by any Oak League. The Rexar is banned yet again. This is probably a slightly even better map for the Rexar, as well as I think it is just the highest priority solo laner for any Oak League. Next ban will be coming in, and it will be the Hammer ban. That's a very interesting one. I think I can see reasons for why Hammer could actually work kind of well on this map. I think this map can kind of go long, and it also does look like this is something that any Oak League plays. They do have two wins on it, so I think I understand that ban, and I respect that one. And the thing is, Pile of Fish, when you put it that way, where you say just you watch the way any Oak League plays, and honestly, they overextend, and sometimes it can be difficult to watch. I kind of agree with that, because that's honestly kind of how I felt about last game. There were definitely some times when I felt there were a lot of unnecessary deaths for any Oak League. Unfortunately, sometimes some bad positioning. And it honestly was kind of frustrating to watch. Like, I'll even put it that way as well. It was not easy. There are things that look promising, but I think the way I would describe it, it feels like there needs to be a little bit more discipline on the side of any Oak League. Like, discipline about making sure that you're rotating safely, discipline on positioning, discipline on where the tank is anchoring, disengaging at the right times. And these are all things that does also make me ask, like, how much do they practice? Because these are also things that I think, when you see these kind of things happen, they can also be a symptom of, like, lack of practice. Meanwhile, other bans coming out, as we see the Leeming picked up again by Silver Jackal. The Rainer will this time be taken away from Transformer, but the Gul'dan will be picked up by Vince Noir, and that is a hero that he does like to play quite a bit. Gola is able to get his ETC this time, the most commonly played tank for both teams, but Gola being able to snag it first. And the final ban in this game will be the Anduin. Anduin being a hero who is, definitely something that is played by Cosmos. And, speaking of, cleanse healers, obviously if you're up against something like a Varian, or really just any kind of blow-up comp, a cleanse is something that can really do a lot. And I think out of the healers who actually have cleanse, I think Anduin is currently one of the better ones in the meta. Obviously, Rhaegar does have cleanse as well, so he can kind of work to that effect. But I think they're just like if any Oak League had something like an Anduin last game, I mean, just thinking of just being able to leap of faith someone out of that taunt Varian combo would just do wonders to just make it so much harder for Cosmos to find those kills, consequently those resets from Li Ming, and then those 3 to 4 kill teamfight victories that they were getting. So meanwhile, the members of any Oak League will finish off this draft with Imperius from Simon, as well as Transformer, this time on the Greymane. Someone who is in some ways similar to Raynor. Obviously, there are definitely things that Greymane can do that Raynor can't, but I definitely look at those and see them as somewhat similar heroes. And Ciaris this time will be playing as a Nubarak. It'll be very interesting to see what this last pick is from Ney. So there definitely is still some potential for kind of that burst damage combo follow-up like they played in the last game. Obviously, the Anubarak is meant to get a lot of value on burst damage initiation. Since he has very long cooldowns, usually you want to get an initiation that hopefully results in a kill. Otherwise, Anubarak finds himself in a position where he's waiting about 10 seconds before his cooldowns can come back online, before he can do really any kind of any kind of crowd control, or really do much in terms of tanking aside from just body blocking or just taking damage. So between these two drafts, I gotta be honest and say that I actually like Annie Oakleaf's the words are not really coming together tonight. Annie Oakleaf's draft this time. I do. There are a lot of reasons why, and I'll talk about that as we get into the game. So, meanwhile, though, we do have members of Annie Oakleaf down one game in this series. It's going to be Simon on the Imperious Transformer playing as Greymane this game, Gola on the ETC, Guy Lion on the Ana, and Vince Noir on the Gul'dan. Meanwhile, the other side, it will be E-Day on the Sylvanas. This is Cosmos. Oddity will be playing as the Alexstrasza. Ciaris on the Anub'arak. Silver Jackal will be playing as Li Ming yet again, and Nay on the Dahaka.
The gates are open. Go.
So, yeah, I do personally feel that the draft out of Annie Oakleaf is stronger between things like the Ana versus the Alexstrasza. Ana normally being viewed as kind of a counter to Alexstrasza because of her anti-healing and the highly telegraphed healing out of Alexstrasza. Also the fact that Ana was actually let through. Ana actually being the most commonly played healer for Annie Oakleaf and something that they are very confident in. And I think there was something else. I think also the burst and kill securing potential out of Annie Oakleaf, at least on paper with the draft, looks better. Between having the Greymane and the stun combo of the ETC and the Imperious, which I feel is just a little bit more reliable than the Anub'arak and the Dahaka, although that can still definitely work out quite as well. Now, despite the fact that I do like the draft better for Annie Oakleaf, I'm going to still predict Cosmos winning this game, and by extension this series, although if more things like that happen, maybe that won't turn out true. Simply because it's just clear at this point that Cosmos is just playing better, just playing cleaner, whereas as is mentioned in the chat, as well as my own observations, the play out of Annie Oakleaf just hasn't been very clean. It hasn't looked very disciplined or practiced. So until they prove otherwise, until they can really just prove me as well as some of our chatters wrong about, just the way they're playing tonight, I really just have to give it to Cosmos, and it'll just be on Annie Oakleaf to prove things in their favor by their own performance this game. We'll see if they can turn it around. So, obviously, we're at 2 minutes into the game. Turret camps have been picked up by both teams. E-Day pretty low on hit points. Transformer looking for some damage and throwing that flask onto the Anub'arak. And, of course, at this time, we have both teams kind of looking around. Okay, Transformer trying to move in, trying to support Gola with a possible kill, but E-Day, the follow-up isn't quite fast enough, and E-Day is able to teleport out of there with the Haunting Wave. We once again see a little bit of a level lead for Annie Oakleaf, and both teams kind of just wandering around, scouting out this support camp, but it doesn't look like either team will actually commit to taking it. A little bit of experience left in the lane to pick up for Annie Oakleaf, as Transformer will pick up the siege camp for his team, doing that a little bit faster than the members of Cosmos, but E-Day and Silver Jackal will eventually pick it, even though, did Silver Jackal just miss those magic missiles on the siege camp? That's just one of those things. Oh, you didn't see that. Ciaris, meanwhile, looking over here, seeing if maybe he can find an initiation on Vince Noir, but he doesn't have his team with him, of course, with E-Day and Silver Jackal. Still just picking up that siege camp. Of course, it might have not necessarily been looking for the engage on Vince Noir. It might have just been scouting out in the lane, trying to see what's going on, get vision. And now we might actually have both teams fighting over this support camp. Certainly they're positioning for it. And while they're positioning for it, a little bit of a beacon lead was gained in favor of Annie Oakleaf. Nay looking a little bit low on health. This is an interesting position for Ciaris. Could potentially burrow charge through the wall. Might have been looking for that and looking for some follow-up. But while, okay, Annie Oakleaf realized that in the time that they're moving out of there, Cosmos was probably trying to take it. Turret's actually already put down for Cosmos. but eventually it will be the healing camp picked up. They didn't pick it up yet! Oh my god, that was a little bit of an oof moment. Where I think they tried to pick it up, might have kind of missed, and then it almost looked like Gola could have been killed. Meanwhile, Vince Noir is in a huge amount of trouble. Simon is actually in a bit of trouble himself. It might be the kill onto Simon. Actually, Gola is the first one to go down. So not quite sure what happened in the end there, but unfortunately, people, I guess, just stepping out a little too far forward in the lane. Where is Simon going? Oh no, Vince Noir, no. Oh man. So, and I mean, this is the part where I could agree that this could be frustrating to watch. I really don't think anyone there had to die aside from the ETC. In fact, I'm even questioning about whether he really had to die. But certainly, once the ETC had to die, that should have just been a time when everyone should have just been able to disengage and at the very least make sure that no one else dies after the ETC. Meanwhile, just doing that gives up a lot of experience to Cosmos, also gives up a lot of beacon percentage to Cosmos. And this is just all part of the things that any Oak League are really going to have to clean up if they do really want to just adjust their play to see if they can take this series. Maybe they can get a kill onto E-Day. It's Gola, though, who might now be in trouble. They already commit the healing beacon. Simon's also pretty low, being chased down by Nay. Nay is in there pretty deep himself, and he might get traded out. Nope, he's the Haka. He can burrow, but he will get stabbed by Imperius. However, Imperius is going in with not enough health. And that will it be Imperius going down yet again. Gola will follow, and at this time, I'm just asking, please disengage and make sure that it's only 2 kills and not 3 or 4. Find 10, then get ready for the defense. All right, so Transformer obviously just trying to de-push this lane as well as try to get 10 for his team. Obviously, with Simon dead at that time, does kind of put Transformer on some solo laning duties. Although once Simon is up, they could have maybe potentially switched. Since Greymane definitely would be better able to help burn down this Triglav Protector. Level 10s will at least come in pretty soon for any Oak League. Okay, we're going to see even a Wailing Arrow committed at that time. I think a little bit unnecessary as, you know, I think it was a decent job burning down this Triglav Protector. Got to make sure, though, that Silent doesn't pay for it with his life. In the end, though, Cosmos does, I feel, at least get the minimum of what they would really want out of this Triglav Protector, which is killing the Fountain next to the top fort. Prepping them for the next objective. Gola in here a little bit deep. Does realize he power slides out, but now he's kind of going back in. Simon also goes for a stab. Unfortunately, I think this could be the end for Simon. Has to use Angelic Armaments to shield himself, but I think he might still be going down. There's just so much CC. Oh, this is also really, really rough. That is going to be a nano boost also committed onto Vince Noir, but he also finds himself just having to back up. E-Day is kind of low, though, so he could potentially be traded out, but in the end, no. Oh, wow. They're positioning to look for an invade here. Maybe even a kill on Nay. It's going to have to be Sleep. Can we get the stab right in there? That could actually potentially be a kill. Okay, he manages to burrow just in time, but not... It still won't be enough to save him, so that will be a pretty nice gank onto Nay. Not an easy target to kill on that Dahaka. But they make it work, they get the invade, and they'll get a turret for their troubles. Not a bad play by Annie Oak League at this time, showing some signs of life in this game. Simon going down here to resume his solo laning duties, relieving it from Transformer to rejoin the 4-man. Good. Simon is backing up. Was a little concerned that definitely I saw him closer to Cosmos' side of the map and that he was able to pull back. Attempted rotation onto Simon, but Simon luckily is playing safe, and he will manage to get out of there alive. So obviously Annie Oak League at this time going to be looking for level 13. Might even get a little bit of nice, decent push in that top lane. Siege Camp will be pushing. Eventually, it needs to be responded to by Cosmos. or it will get some value. CRS looks for the engage onto Transformer, but Transformer is able to move away just in time that he does not actually get hit by the stun, and doesn't end up really being a successful engage onto Antioch League. Meanwhile, the positioning out of Cosmos still looking like they're looking for a fight or looking to get some kills, and Simon is still separated from the team. Simon actually gets a solo stun on Tanae. My God, does Imperius do ridiculous amounts of damage? So many hit points taken out of Ney with that Imperius engage, and that was a solo engage. So really just kind of showing the potential of Imperius if you can actually get some of those engages. All right, Transform, putting some damage onto E-Day, kind of trading in his favor, although heals eventually do come out to E-Day. Silver Jackal, meanwhile, will get the beacon for his team. There is a healing camp in favor of Cosmos, but the members of Antioch League do have 2 turrets. I'm not sure how that evens out. Hard to say who really has the item advantage there. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure whether 2 turrets would be better or a single healing camp. So you can feel free to lay in your personal opinions on that one. Either way, items for both teams, and it's going to be Antioch League who will take control. But Guy does find himself in a position. Oh, Ney attempts the drag, but doesn't get it. He himself will get feared. He'll get stunned. He'll get just other things. But he is Dahaka, and he is not an easy dinosaur to kill. Even gets the resource of the Lifebinder. Now it's Transformer, who's in a huge amount of trouble, and he just barely gets out. There's a mosh pit out of Gola. Could that finally be the kills that they need? No, it eventually does get interrupted somehow, and Transformer finds himself going down as well. And then with the Sylvanas, Cosmos is able to capitalize off that double kill by just taking that fort pretty easily. And it's most likely going to be another Triglav Protector going in favor of Cosmos. So things are looking rough for Antioch League yet again. It's not too far gone at this point, but very soon they will have 16 talent tier advantage against them, and they're going to have to defend against it. And we just got to think, what is going on for Antioch League? What's not working for them? They are trying to... A lot of times their initiation is onto Dahaka. And Dahaka is a very, very tanky target. If he is not fully bursted down from 100 to 0, he burrows under the ground, activates his essence, heals up, and even in that case, we did, of course, see the Lifebinder pulled out as well. So certainly Dahaka drew a lot of resources there, but they might just have to see if they can find a target other than the Dahaka, since the Dahaka is probably the hardest target for them to kill. They might even, like, if they can't... Oh, no. Gola, as I'm trying to make points. If they can't get to the backline, then they might need to see if they can kill the Anubarak. Since Anubarak would be, in my opinion, an easier target to burst down. Oh, no. Meanwhile, is that Imperius getting solo killed? I don't even know where he was. How did he die? Too busy trying to talk about other things. They got to make sure Transformer honestly needs to back up. They can't be looking for any kind of engages here. They don't have a tank or a healer, and that might just be another kill onto Transformer. I think they will get out of here alive, but there was definitely a lot of risk to it. At the most, I could say, I don't know, it drew out the healing camp. But I don't really think there was a good reason for Transformer to even try to push forward into their goal. Is looking for some engage on the side. Only gets the stun onto CRS, but there is no follow-up for it. Okay, Simon is back alive, but Golem might not make it out of this alive. All right, he is able to power slide out, but with that power slide out, I think it's just time for them mostly just to disengage. Heal Gola up before they do look for anything else, but eventually they will probably need to find another team fight because they will most likely be facing down level 20 talent tier advantage against them for the next Triglav Protector. So I think they're going to have to just make some decisive play. I don't think they can afford to play it passively for much longer. Level 19 will be coming in very, very soon for Cosmos. Okay, healing camp taken more or less for free. Are they able to secure the kill on Gola? Gola does have a power slide. Unfortunately, this results in Simon using Celestial Charge defensively just to try to peel for Gola. It's not the... But it just ends up putting him at a lot of risk himself. Another healing camp. Gola goes in for another match, but he's silenced immediately by the Wailing Arrow. The kill is traded out, and it's actually 2-1 in favor of Annie Oakley. Transformer going to make it 3-1. Now looking to see if he can make it 4, getting a huge amount of damage to CRS, but he walks right into the Impale out of CRS, so CRS will stay alive. So Transformer does have the Eager Wolf talent at level 16. Eager Wolf is an attack speed talent at level 16. Generally, I think the least common of his talents at level 16, but it is the only one that really gives him reliable PvE damage. And it did look like he was attacking pretty quickly at that time. So this is, probably the best position that Annie Oakley has been in all game. They are still behind in levels, so I think they're just going to try to push this down as much as they can and see if they can get level 20 from this. They'll get some experience from the towers. They're pinging the fountain because they want to destroy the fountain. They haven't finished... Okay, the fountain is finished off, but they still actually don't have level 20, so this is still a little bit problematic, especially if Vince Noir is able to... Not Vince Noir, Nay. Seemed like he was looking for a drag there. So we do see that Simon is still picking up this camp. I think Annie Oakley, they got to kind of make a choice, and I think mostly the choice... I don't know too much of a choice, but... Oh, Simon, where are you going? So Simon did not finish off the camp, although, to be fair, Imperius not exactly a great solo camp clear. Because it is 20 talent tier advantage for the members of Cosmos, they will just invade, pretty much a free invade on the turret camp from Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley still looking for level 20. Now, they definitely have enough time that they can get level 20 and have enough time to still contest the bottom objective. Though, as far as level 20s go, I think personally I'm a little bit more afraid of the level 20s from Cosmos than I am for the level 20s from Annie Oakley. Specifically, the Rewind out of Anubarak as well as the Contagion out of Dahaka. I think those are really the things that... I think those are really the big game changers that can just really make a team fight go in favor of Cosmos' advantage. So it's really just going to take, I feel, an outplay from Annie Oakley, which unfortunately really just hasn't been the story of them in this series. For the most part, they have been getting outplayed. Right now it's pretty passive play, just looking for something. And I think they want to find someone other than Dahaka, but Dahaka's looking for a flank. Going in that bush, trying to get the movement speed bonus. He is flanking. He's maybe trying to look for Transformer, but he doesn't pull the trigger. It's still just so cautious from these teams. Transformer finally takes too much damage. He is able to stay alive, but the repulsion is also coming in, and it's making life tough. But the fear on to Anubarak might just be what they need for Annie Oakley to get the first kill. Still, the members of Annie Oakley really low in hit points. Unfortunately, not respecting the Li Ming, and the Li Ming comes in with the resets. But Silver Jackal can't find the kill onto Guy Lion. Meanwhile, turret is down. I think Annie Oakley, finally they realize that they need to actually just disengage and make sure that they heal. Even though they got the Li Ming, Guy Lion is still just too low in hit points. I don't actually think Simon needs to back. Good, and he realizes it too, that he doesn't need to back. And now they actually have the time to engage 4v3, and Cosmos, I would not expect them to continue to contest this. Instead, I would expect them to just go around the map, see what value they can get elsewhere, see if maybe they can move around the map. Certainly, they'll pick up their turret camp, and I wonder if they will have enough time to get anything else. Gola actually looking for the invade here, or at least maybe just stalling them out. And it looks like Annie Oakley not going to get the percentage on the Shrine. They'll take the turret for themselves. I guess if they just want to create an item advantage, they could. I think they have enough time that they could even take the healing camp as well, but it does look like they will just pull back. A stun goes out by Simon onto Ney, but no follow-up from Gola. It doesn't means that there's no chance of a kill there, and I think also with Greymane, Dahaka, without Greymane, Dahaka will just be too hard of a target to kill in this case. Okay, so Annie Oakley going to keep one member of their team on the beacon while they push ahead. Meanwhile, Cosmos, they're looking for the support camp, but I don't know if they'll make it back in time to actually contest this. They 100% don't. This is actually a very, very big chance for the members of Annie Oakley to take this game. Now, they've got 2 in the Protector. Ney is hiding out in that bush, going to be looking for someone to drag. He hasn't been sniffed out just yet. And he's probably going to be looking for Guy Lion, and if the rest of his team can come here and find the follow-up, it could be the kill. Guy Lion moves back, but Ney gives away his positioning, and now it's a little bit more telegraphed. Both damage dealers are inside the Protector, but Guy Lion is still kind of being overwhelmed. Do we have some shields from the Protector? No, it's not enough. And it didn't even have the shields, and the kills are very, very easily coming in for the members of Cosmos. And this is ultimately being... It's honestly just a lot of cleanup out of Cosmos. Deathmosh is kind of funny. And now this Protector is actually now in a very, very strange position. Actually, honestly, I feel like the Protector really just needs to straight up get out of here. As it turns out, NyQuil friend, they won't even be getting the keep with all those kills. As, of course, I'm reading your chat late. Oh, no. I think this is, oh, no, such a huge misplay. I feel like the main thing that this Protector needed to do, unfortunately, I think just trying a little too hard to try to find whatever value they can. Whereas I think what they honestly really needed to do was simply try to disengage and get back to the safety of the base. And I need to take a look at this core. It's actually under attack by Cosmos, trying to finish off the series right here, right now. Respawn should be coming in very, very soon for Annie Oakley to try to make this defense, but it's already 20% permanent damage on the core. Simon gonna look for a stun, but he misses it. Vince Noir is inside the cocoon, and I think this will be Cosmos finishing off this series 2-0, and indeed it will. So yeah, that was a little bit rough, and of course, I saw the Triglav Protector. I still feel that, the Triglav Protector, when Annie Oakley did get the Triglav Protector, I felt that that was the best chance that they would have gotten. They still had a keep front wall to go through. They still had a keep to go through, but I'm just figuring, like, basically the fort was down, and yes, if they could find kills, it was a potential game-winning condition. It wasn't a strong one, but I'm just really, if anything, I'm just, like, stretching here, because I felt like Annie Oakley kind of behind all game. Here's a chance for them. Unfortunately, it really does kind of blow up in their faces, as they aren't able to protect Guy Lion on that Ana from the dive of the Anubarak, as well as the flanking from Ney on that Dahaka. And I really do actually like the play by Ney in pretty much this entire series. A lot of the flanking positioning. And as it turns out, Dahaka is actually, I think, Ney's most commonly played hero. So although I did see some comment in the chat about supposedly a rough map for Dahaka, I think it was a comfort pick for Ney, and I do think it worked out pretty well for him. And in my personal opinion, I think Ney was the MVP of this series. Hello.
How's it going, Drew?
We got Silver Jackal. I was told E-Day might be joining us too.
Yeah, he just went AFK for a second, so he'll probably hop in a little bit.
All right. Well, we'll just get started with you, and I'm just going to start off asking how you feeling with your victory today.
Great. We've been, we had a rough start this season, and I feel like we're finally catching on our stride.
Very, very nice.
I think we're tied for third place.
I'm guessing if you say you had a rough start, your losses came earlier in the season.
Yeah, we're still switching things around, and I think we got a fix that works
Okay,
for us.
okay. Because now I think you have a 5-2 win-loss record, which overall is actually quite good. Um,
Yes.
One of the picks that I felt was a little curious, and certainly some of the people in chat also thought was a little curious, was the Morales pick in Game 1. That's typically a pick that I kind of think of. Usually I kind of see it as it's probably just like a comfort pick. Can you tell us, was that just more like a comfort pick for your healer player, or was there a little bit more of a plan or a reason to it?
I mean, their team couldn't get back to Morales, so we figured she'd be completely safe healing everyone up, and we wouldn't have a problem with having to defend her. They're all poke, so we weren't too worried about that.
Okay, very much good. I think it's a good point, and I did kind of bring it up myself. Although I do think I guess there was a possibility of a falling sword Johanna, but that didn't happen.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty rare.
I also just personally thought that if the bombs were spread, and the living bombs on the Kael'thas were spreading quite a lot, that could have put a little bit of stress on the Morales healing, who's mostly single target.
Hmm.
So at this point, it's a little bit more than halfway through the season. What are your ambitions as a team?
I mean, I think every
Let's go
team
with that.
goes in this league wanting to win playoffs, so I'd say that's our goal is winning this division.
All right, and how how realistic do you think it is that you guys might be able to take it all the way? Do you 100% feel that you guys are going to be able to make it there? Are there any particular teams in the division that might inspire a little bit of doubt?
I feel like we have a 100% chance of winning. There are some teams that it's going to be a challenge, but that's what makes it fun.
Any of those teams that you're particularly looking forward to playing?
I would like to play the two teams that we lost in the beginning, amateur opponent, when we were still trying to get stuff around. They're a strong team. I just feel like we could definitely take games from them.
And I believe the other team you lost to was Randy Newman, which of
Yes,
course
we would like to play them again as well.
they're a bit of a meme team, and I didn't see that match myself, so I'd even like to ask, did they have like any kind of unexpected or strange spicy drafts that they threw at you that kind of threw you off?
Not necessarily. We just, like I said, weren't playing very well. We were still, gelling with our comms, and I guess it switched things around. I think
Right,
that had
right.
a lot to do with it, but they did. They are a strong team, and they do play well.
All right, very good. We're starting actually to get to the point where I'm kind of running out of questions, and he hasn't even gotten around to joining us yet.
He's probably
So,
avoiding this on purpose.
all right, fair enough. So, gonna try to at least think. You know what? We're just gonna have to go with this, and I think if I think of anything else, I'll throw it in. But do you have any just kind of comments or shout outs for just whatever thing? Basically, throwing the floor to you at this point.
Yeah, I for sure have shout outs to you. Thank you very much for casting. We always appreciate, getting a caster. Shout out to my team. We did a really strong showing tonight. And shout out to AOL. They're a fun team to play. They definitely had some moments where we're like, oh crap, they're kicking our ass right here.
Yeah,
Shout out to NGS and everything. That if it wasn't for them, this whole league wouldn't exist. And it's been a lot of fun to play competitively.
Yeah, I'm very much appreciating the NGS community myself, even though I actually played in the last season, but also kind of now seeing it from a caster side where they try to basically try to get as much coverage as humanly possible. So that's kind of one of the nice things about this league. Even get the opportunity to look back at your previous matches, and I do think that Annie Oak League, they definitely showed some promise, but I just feel like it's kind of a lot of cleaning up to do. Whereas I think you guys were looking pretty smooth tonight. So kind of good on you for that. And, I think this is as much as I got for tonight. So thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations to your team.
Of course, and again, thank you very much for casting. You have a great night.
All right, thank you. You too. Good night.
Bye.